Good morning and welcome to your favorite elixir on television, your ultimate show, Politics Today. Nigeria's political atmosphere is gradually heating up ahead of the 2027 presidential election. And it's quite important that we look at across the major political parties in the country, and of course the aspect of consultations, alignments, and making sure that the issues-based campaigns take eminence. The underground negotiations have begun to shape what promises to be another decisive moment for Nigerians. And of course, we look at the most atmosphere, the political atmosphere, the democratic journey, as aspirants positions themselves at political camps, test their strength in all of this. How can we tackle this head? Most especially the questions that have been basically asked. What could be the factors to determine who will be president come 2027, and of course competence or political machinery? What are we going to use as a yardstick for that? In a country's battling economic pressure, and of course insecurity, unemployment, and growing demands for effective governance, many Nigerians insist that competence, capacity, vision, and leadership experience should take priority. Yet others argue that no matter how competent a candidate may be, without a formidable political momentum to gather mobilization, of course, make sure that they are able to deep root themselves in politics, it may become impossible to do that. Now, what do we do in that regard? Most especially as we also look at what the president said in Nairobi, as he made mention of the fact that, that Nigerian youths are very, very decisive, and for everyone who wants to partake in the political race, then that person must ensure that he's accountable and must be able to do the needful, because the youths can basically determine the elections. And he said in his words that if I don't perform well, then the youths can throw me out. So for that not to happen, he has to make sure that he does the needful. Well, joining me to discuss this as we take a ride on Politics Today. Don't forget, Politics Today is brought to you simultaneously on independent television and radio. And of course, as we progress on the show, it's expected that you pour in your calls at us and participate on show. My name is Philip Omo Gyukbo. And of course, discussing this with me, starting from my extreme left, I have a clergyman, a public affairs analyst, a legal practitioner, Greg Iyayi. Big thanks for coming, Greg.
Good morning, Philip. It's been a long time.
Awesome.
Good morning, viewers.
I believe you were in London to see the king.
No, I didn't go with the president.
Okay. Well, close to Greg Iyayi is a lecturer, a university done by that I mean, and he is the former ASU chairman, Uniben chapter, Professor Julius Iyasele. Big thanks for coming.
Philip, thank you for having me. It's been a long while.
A big one, a long while.
Good morning, viewers.
Thank you for being here. And also joining us is an APC chieftain, and he is Etiosa Igebo. Big thanks for coming, Etiosa.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
All right, let's look at what is happening, because at present we are already seeing political parties facing screening and of course party primaries for the ruling party, as we can see, gathering momentum for the primaries and of course how to get it right. Do you see, starting with you, Greg, do you see the political parties as bringing out candidates based on competence or just based on loyalty to the party blocks?
Indeed, you have already answered the question. I think the second leg of your sentence is what I believe is prevailing, because at the end of the day, no matter how competent some candidates are, if they do not bow to the whims and caprices of the party leaders, it might be very, very difficult, because this is when the party leaders hold sway, the elders, the leaders of the party. This is the opportunity, and this is the time they decide who goes to represent the party and who does not go. And if you aren't loyal to them, let's be very practical. It will be difficult for you. One, you have to be screened by them. They can screen the person out. They appoint those people that do the screening. So, but we just hope that some parties will be sensible enough to allow credible candidates emerge.
Well, looking at what we are having come 2027, do you see the positioning of the opposition, getting ready to, contest on this? Because the president has already started it. He's already in it by virtue of the fact that he's coming for a second term. What do you see as the position of the opposition? Are they ready from what you can perceive?
Well, in fact, the opposition, who are they, where are they,
okay, and
all that, with all that is going on in Nigeria, with what the effort that they've been making and all that. Yes, well, to a great extent, I don't want to allude to political parties at all, because here I believe that individuals are stronger than the state. There are no institutions, there are no systems, there are no structure and all that. So for me, when you talk about opposition, maybe individuals, I'm not talking about political parties, because I don't think we have political parties in Nigeria. That is why I'm saying that individuals are stronger than the state. However, the individuals that are already playing up themselves are coming from the opposition to the current leadership appear to be strong. But strong in what sense? That is just it. Looking at them as individuals, looking at them as, the kind of crowd and loyalty, support they can muster from the public. They appear strong, but then to what extent? Where you are strong and then you meet a block, meet a structure and a barricade, to use a better word, what can you do at the end of the day? For instance, we try to look at electoral laws and all that, try to make it better and all that, and it didn't work. So what are you going to do? What would have been better in our elections than anything that you must use IREF and all that? That you must use these advanced technologies to transfer results and all that. What would have been better than that? All the laws that are supposed to at least guide our election and make it excellent and all that have been rejected, refused by our National Assembly, okay, and all that. So what effort can you as individual, except, at the end of the day, everybody is going to go, to the burning bush without shoes. What I mean by that is that maybe if you are going to go into the lion's den like Daniel, you have to go with the Holy Spirit. But if you are not going to go with the Holy Spirit at the end of the day, even yourself have to become another lion. That is the only way you can succeed in this dispensation. That you will bring yourself with the same normalcy and all that, my brother, I don't think anything will work.
Okay, let's quickly take note of what the president said in Nairobi. And in this, of the excerpt, he said, while in Nairobi, Kenya, for the Africa Summit, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stated that Africa has a dynamic and youthful population, and restless and not ready to accept any excuses. He emphasized that because of this, politicians must be accountable, and noting that as a politician, in his words, if I don't prepare for what they need for me to do, then they will vote me out. Looking at that excerpt, some experts have said that political machinery seem to determine who gets what, when and how, looking at the Nigerian politics. But what the president said in Nairobi, do you see him quoting the fact that the electorate basically have the power? Because usually we've always understood the fact that the power belongs to the people. But going with political experiences, electoral processes in Nigeria, that seems to be the otherwise, even to a point where even the court will have to determine who becomes the president. Now, going by what the president said, just opposing it with the people having the power, what do you say about this? Do you see the possibility of the president having a second chance if election pops up just now, looking at the current economic realities and insecurity in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, I think I do see the president having a good chance, because sometimes it depends on the sort of opposition you have. If your opposition is well grounded and they organize themselves properly and they are playing politics without looking at themselves and look at things from a generic point of view of looking at, for example, it must not be me. If I bring somebody else that Nigerians don't even know, and maybe they're young enough and they'll be exposed enough and people know them a bit, they must stand a better chance. That is on that. However, in the terms of who determines who becomes your leader or who governs you, the people still has the majority power. I can tell you, more than 80, 85, 90% of the people's votes determines who becomes the president or the governor of a state. Why did I say so? If you look at what happened in Edo during the obedient movement, for instance, across Nigeria, I'm sure you guys were surprised the force that the people had.
Yeah, mostly from the youths.
Because majority of the people do not belong to a political party. So on that note, it will be kind of a short-sighted idea to assume that it is a political play that happens within a party of who becomes your flag bearer, which is purely a personal, private, intra-party matter, which is obviously different from who, when it comes to the general election, who wins. So to me, I strongly believe that the people still enjoys the goodwill to vote for who they want. But I think the other aspect is a lot of the politicians themselves who take the message to the people don't underestimate the fact that when bad news comes up, it flies better than the good ones. There might be areas of little shortcomings within the space politically, and that carries the day most of the time because negative news, but there's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of politicians who still interface with their people, who still work with them in terms of empowerment programs, in terms of listening to their quests, if they need schools like in Edo, rehabilitations, if they need roads, if they need employments, like for example 5,000 people was employed in Edo. These things will resonate with the family, and they take this information to the market, and after that information goes back to their home and it spreads amongst family. But unknowingly, you build a swell of people who believes in you as a government. So I am not trying to say that it will be the same across board in Nigeria, because different states have their different challenges. But if I want to use my immediate environment to determine what is happening, you cannot tell me that people that are living in Sapele Road or Temboga now, that their roads has been fixed, or maybe people around the Ramat Park area who is having a relief with economic movement being designed to be better, will not consider, this governor came and did this, well, let me do it for this governor, not necessarily the man at the center. So I think the president, I believe, will do well, but the only challenge he would have if the opposition party feeds candidates. I take, for example, the major players, that is a huge contender against the party. Maybe where you have the likes of David Mark, Honorable Shola, Peter Obi and the rest. If they come up and bring new faces and say, well, we want to support a new idea, trust me, the president will have a problem. But for the fact that they are selling themselves, and now they are dividing themselves as well, to me, I don't see reasons why the president's efforts so far will not bring it back to the villa. Okay,
well, back to what you said concerning the youth population and, of course, the electorate, which the youth plays a pivotal part on that. You experienced that of the 2023 presidential election. Yes. Do you think that population counted, or was it as a result of political machinery that brought about the current president? Because if you look at what transpired on the election day, there was a blackout on transmission of election results at real time, which basically could give the impression that there was another, hullabaloo in that process.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
how do you just oppose that with the youth population of what the president said?
Yeah, I mean, when you first started the conversation, before you asked me a question, you spoke about people believing that the justice system will give you or make you president. But remember, you don't build something on nothing. The justice systems will be provided with evidence, electronic facts. Whether Nigeria has infrastructure to sustain or support that idea in real time becomes a different question. You can query the electoral system and the sort of infrastructure we have to make things work smooth smooth or seamlessly, you can relate that to the power sector, to the transport sector, to the airline sector, to every aspect of Nigeria. There's a problem with infrastructure. However,
Even to the legislature on the laws they make.
Wait a minute. I mean, people implement laws, don't they?
Yeah.
And for you to implement laws, you must have the right orientation. And sometimes, when we look at these things, when I heard my big brother speaking just now, you have to become a lion without a foot in the burning, environment. But the last election in Edo that brought the governor, there was no fighting at all. People went to vote, and it was peaceful. Nobody was attacked, no fighting. And yet the governor was produced. So I think it's about the orientation of the people. For you to implement the law, if you stand your ground and say this is what happened and this is how it's going to be, it will be difficult to change it any other way. So I do strongly believe that not every youth goes about like a bad news that takes over the good news, if you know what I mean. If we're in ITV now and every day is good, if you have an hour of a bad experience, that it overcomes every other good thing that has happened here.
Yeah.
So I strongly believe that the people vote still counts.
Okay.
I still strongly believe that the politicians have to be accountable. If not for that, you will not see efforts from governments trying to bring about building schools and differences in terms of making life better for them.
Let the pendulum swing to you, Greg. You are a legal practitioner, a custodian of the law. That's what we call you. And if we look at the electoral laws, 2026, the Electoral Act 2026, some have said that this again is another challenge because the lessons of 2023 presidential election gave room for this heated debate for a repeal of the previous act to have the 2026 act, but it popped up. Now, do you see this as a calculated attempt politically to make the political machinery oversee that of the decision of the electorate in the forthcoming election?
Yes. Let me quickly react to what my friend said about the last election. When in Uba Hill, the fight we saw around Ramat Park to prevent people from going to the appeal court, going to INEC office. Let's not deceive ourselves. What was on ground was most unfair. It was violence.
The ex-white governor was chased away from.
Chased away. So we cannot come there and come out because we accept Okpebu is our governor today, and I love him. He's my kinsman. But that election was no violence, that election did not have problems, we'll be deceiving ourselves.
Although we are digressing anyway, because it's the focus on the presidential election.
Yes, we are on the presidential election. So let us say, okay, that election wasn't perfect, but we can move forward. We can improve.
From the lessons of the previous elections.
Of the previous election. So that there will be peace, and so that there will be truth. Because if there is no truth, there won't ever be justice. And if there is no justice, there won't ever be peace. That is the truth. Moving on, you see, they want to call the administrative control technique when you govern a country. Saudi Arabia, for instance, never expressly prohibited women from driving. And when they were accused by the international community, they're infringing on the rights of women. But there was something they did, the administrative control technique. They won't ever issue a driving license to a woman. And without a driving license, you cannot drive a car on the road. They will tell you there's no law prohibiting women from driving in Saudi Arabia. Till people confronted them. If you can't give a license, then to a certain group of people, you're directly depriving them. So, like the electoral system, why won't you allow results, as Prof has said, be transmitted? Why did you not allow that law to be changed as it should be? And let the people have that. If you say you are popular, if you say that you have done good, if you say the people support you, then the law that is on the ground, I mean, you don't need to be afraid of it. So let the result be transmitted live, direct, without having to go to some collation center where the plus and minus and the mixture of rice and beans goes on. So this is exactly what we are saying. Let there be good laws, and in the administration of the laws, if the law is there, that this is the law, and somebody is infringing on it, then we can challenge that person. But if the law is not there, like he rightly said, you can't build something on nothing. So that's the problem we had with the National Assembly over these electoral laws. And if you are talking of the judicial system too, you see, is the judiciary free? I am a lawyer. I cannot still sit here to condemn the judiciary. But I can also not sit here with experiences to say that our judiciary has an angelic face.
Okay. Well, from what we've gathered so far, we seem to agree to the fact that political machinery again counts when it comes to determining who wins the election. And of course, despite the fact that competency should play a pivotal role. But looking at the opposition, for instance, well, some have said that the aspect of moving from one party to another, which also shows lack of party ideology. And of course, again, some have also criticized the indiscipline in the act of some aspirants moving from one party to another, and then if there are issues with that party, they move again to another party. Some have said that an ability and a characteristics of knowing one who can fix a country's problems and not run away is one who stays and tackles it. Now, looking at that, what do you say about the fact that we may basically not even have a very strong candidate,
yes,
you know, contesting with the current president? Let
me tell you that that is a serious advantage. What I see here, it has to do with wit. It is strength that you are seeing there. Really? That a candidate had moved from one political party into another with a population of persons who escorted him to a new political party shows that no other person would have been better for us as a president of this country than him. No other person. Because ability to move people, to mobilize people is actually what we mean by leadership.
But what about the political structure? Do we have the political structure in that?
If you are moving, no. You see, I didn't lay any snare for myself when I started. That is why I said at the beginning that parties are not it now. Our political parties are like birthday parties. It's the same thing. There's no difference. So now is the time to vote for competent people, those whom you think are competent, not because they belong to XY political party. No.
Okay, but if you juxtapose with what is happening currently
yes,
under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
yes,
and of course also the track records of some of these former governors who are coming up to become president, do you see the wit? Do you see the ability? Do you see the technical know-how? Do you see the administrative workability of them outweighing the ability of the current president? Because we understood the fact that even while he was governor of Lagos State, he did a lot. And of course, the aspect of him being the president of the country, as we speak, seems to be a headway in that direction.
You have to have grasp of administration, like he has said. Now you have basic problems facing you. How many have you been able to tackle? That is what we are saying.
Like what problems?
Okay.
Insecurity?
Insecurity is
economic
one.
Challenges?
Economic, and then
have they not been there? Have they not been there?
They've not been there. They've not been there to the scale that we are not seeing. Let me tell you. Do you know how much the extent to which our naira has been devalued? You know how much the squalor people are facing, what people are going through. This morning we were talking about Basita Sugar Factory. We were talking about, in those days you are passing through Jos, the aroma of biscuits and cornflakes and all that from very different factories all over the country, and none currently is in operation.
Isn't that possible that enemies of the administration could be working hard to make sure that it doesn't say the goals that
very correct. That is how our administrators, that is how they behave, because a poor worker will always blame the two. We look for easy way out of life. So these people who have even failed in government are the ones that are not competent to come back, not those who are moving from one political party to the other. You praise those who move from one political party. Somebody has laid a snare for you. And then you are able to wriggle out of that snare. You should be applauded. That is what has happened in circumstances like that. Because by now, you would have seen that, of course, you won't have any other political party. Because we're going into migrating to a one political
one-party system.
A one-party system. That is where we're going to. But now, with what has happened,
now?
And, yeah, to a great extent, yes, it's a twist now, and I'm hoping that because we are magicians in Nigeria, so because tomorrow they could just throw another clog in the window.
Who could be throwing it? Are you referring to the ruling party?
I'm talking about leaders.
Okay.
I'm not looking at parties.
Okay.
You understand? They are our leaders. The National Assembly and then the president of the country are the ones that are throwing the club.
Thank you very much. Well, it's politics today. We're going to be taking a short break, after which we will be joining Etiosa Igebo to react to what has been said, and of course also attend to some questions as regards what possibly could emerge come 2027 for the current president. Do stay.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
Thank you for joining us once more. Yes, Politics Today, and we are on the battle for the presidency. And will competence take a major role, or political machinery taking a major role in the forthcoming presidential election. We look at what transpired in 2023 and, of course, the strength of the electorate that came up and the agitations that also took place that nosedived or culminated into litigations. Of course, the Electoral Act 2026 and the provisions of the law in that regard as regards not having election results being transmitted at real time becomes what Nigerians are basically scared of in 2027. And if you look at what the governor said, you know, it continues to resonate in our political discussions. We can't take away that fact. How possible is it to get 2.5 million votes? Although he said it at the time that it is above that, about 3 million votes. But let's take the baseline of 2.5 million votes. And wait politically for the president, which basically, ideally, one could also say that could be expected as party members. But do you see the governor of the state, for instance, looking at the strength of the electorate or political machinery to produce that 2.5 million votes? Because we don't have that number as we speak.
Anyway, before I come to that, you just please allow me to digress a bit to respond to what he said.
Go ahead.
Brother there. And with all due respect, when my brother spoke about the issues of the elections that took place that brought Monday Okpebholo as governor, I said that there was no actual violence. On the day of the election took place from morning till evening until when the election closed. There was actually no response. It was one of the most peaceful elections I have seen because I was a participant. I would like to ask, what was the governor Obaseki doing at INEC? What was he doing? So if he was asked to leave, does that resonate to violence? At the same time, when he said people, my barrister was saying that people were agitating and there was some kind of dragging within the INEC premises. What were the PDP members doing when INEC officials were returning results to INEC? Remember, it was when an information came that Governor Obaseki was in INEC. That
right is because I've conducted the election. Right is because I've conducted the election before.
I'm on my feet.
I worked for INEC.
I said, with all due respect, so I'm on my feet. The reason why I said that there was no violence, there was no violence recorded during the election process from morning till the time it closed.
Okay.
The only time they had issues was when Obaseki went to INEC.
Oh yeah.
Because he was, I don't know what he was getting involved in. And if that is what they are talking about, then fine.
But there's no contesting the fact that the sitting governor has no business to be in the electoral
I don't understand how that
understand that fact. But again, don't forget the fact that some have also criticized the neutrality of the electoral umpire.
See,
and that could again,
let me tell you,
prompt someone in the office of the governor to want to find out if there are irregularities in that direction. And again, this could also be coming from the center, which we are also saying, does political machinery determine who gets what, when, and how, rather than the electorate?
Let me say this. You see, you cannot tell me that the sitting governor is at a particular location where he ought not to be. And he's the custodian, the first citizen of the state who has power within the state. And you want to query something that you see as a vague assumption. When you talk about the center or political machinery, what I understand about political machinery is that the people you have in different communities and villages that are working for your party. That brings me to some of the points he made about an individual. He's not a politician. He's speaking as a lecturer, as a professor. That is why he doesn't understand the rudiments of politics. When you look at the issues of structure that you mentioned, the traditional council, the elders of the communities, the youth in the communities, over time build relationship with the political party. By the time you leave and you move and you rent people or hire people to make noise, at the end of the day you can't sustain your political interface within the local community. So that is why you see that Asiwaju as president has constantly had one over others. You know why? Because it doesn't move from point A to point B and point C to point D. The minute you do that, you create enemies for yourself. By the time a particular individual he spoke about moved, he would have offended so many people who believes in him. Believe me, they will never move with him. So on that way, it gets weaker and weaker. Political system, you achieve results because you are not everywhere at the same time. You are to a polling unit. You must trust the next man who is going to represent you in another polling unit. By the time you don't have that ability, like the man that has been moving from point A to Mecca to Jos and to Maiduguri to Katsina, who has no political foundation, who went to a party that had people voted, like I said earlier, people voted during the movement. And senators was produced in my constituency. House of Rep members was produced in my constituency. So what did this man do? He couldn't keep it together, and he left these people. He would have offended 95% of his followers by moving to a different camp, because he doesn't even have what it takes.
Okay.
He could have built his own, which he didn't. And that brings me to the question of the 2.5 million votes.
Yes. Although, before that, don't forget the University Don may have an issue with you over what you said, that he doesn't understand the rudiment.
I want to
we'll react to that. But I quickly want, I'm telling you that in case you want to restructure what you said.
Let me put it this way. Maybe he understands what it is, but he's not an active participant in the political system. Like,
from the beginning of birth, every human being is a political animal.
See, Prof, let me tell you this. I remember, just give me a minute to digress. I remember when I was doing my master's in England, right? I knew I was an A-class student. I had good grades, A's and B's. I had good grades, but I wasn't communicating with my professor. If I want to do an assignment, he gives me the assignments and whatever, I just go and do it. He called me one day and said, look, I gave you a 0 here, a 0 there, a 0 there. I said, why? But I knew exactly what I was. He said, you knew it, but did you consult with your boss to give you a go ahead? So in the academic setting, most people don't understand that you have to liaise with your lecturer, your professor, to tell you it is okay to do this. Because when you're in government or in governance and in administration, you can't just say, because I know you will not consult with your boss. So what I'm bringing in is an intangible value in the space that he can never understand. I give him 10 years from now, he can never understand that about politics. That is by the way. So I'm not indicting him, but I'm just telling you a professor has his own value system, just like a politician does.
Why you attend to the next question? Remember what he said, that, we have magicians. Maybe he was referring to political magicians that could change figures and make things happen.
I would like to speak on the 2.5
So exactly where we're going. So it's just for you to, it's just to guide you. Because some have said, how is the governor going to make that possible? Or he has magicians that can make it possible within the political structure?
Just a minute. Our people, with all due respect, I've been involved with people across several boards. I just deliberately trying to learn in the last 15 years of my life to get involved in different aspects of life. Our attitudes, our morals as a people, it affects everything we do across board, whether you're in politics, administration, you're in business or whatever. 9 out of 10 times of people will destroy a business interface and create no room to deal with it another time, rather than doing what is right when it comes to the issues of people and their mindset. We are talking about upgrading the electoral system. I think the electoral system has been very good, and the way they've improved it. Remember back in those days when we didn't even have no electronic voting system, because of the behavioral pattern of the people, because of how sincere they were, votes counted. What has changed from back in those days, like June 12, 1993 till now? Same people, but different outcomes. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that when you talk about the issues of the magician, there's no magician. I think today there's about 2.9 million registered voters in Edo. And then there will still be more registration going on over time. And like I said to you, if you tie those things to physical projects, I can give you an instance. The governor employed 5,000 teachers. Most schools, they realize that they didn't even have teachers there. Do you see what I'm saying? If you go to Temboga, going to Ute and Uniben, the governor did a fantastic job there, where people have run away from their homes. They run away from their homes for years, even under the administration of the so-called Mr. Classic, the then governor of the state, who could not realize that people were homes was going to fall into these gutters. The governor went there, arrested it. What do you expect those people to do? They said one good turn deserves another. In my adage, they said, when you roast a chicken, the eyes of the other birds is never good. So people have faith because they believe that if this governor can save Ute, if he can save Benin Saple Road, if he can start on influencing the expansion of Benin Agbo Road, if he can build over 80 to 90 schools today, public schools renovated to a top standard with fence and everything, if he can employ teachers, if he can stop courtesan from people being killed, maybe we need to be patient with this man.
But want to see that figure, translate into voting. Don't forget, I told you, it's one thing to have them on the register. It's another thing for them to come out.
See,
the voting population is what I'm telling you.
Get them out. So that is what I'm telling you. You're not understanding me. When we get them out, it's exactly the job and the good work that the current governor is doing. But
don't forget, we are looking at the presidential election.
Wait, but bro,
that's what we're looking at. And are you turning your eyes away from the economic realities?
They are connected.
The insecurity.
Hold on, bro. They are connected. The insecurity in Edo today is better than it has ever been. You agree with me? In December, most Decembers in the last 10, 15 years, people get killed. Hold on, people lose fathers, women lose husbands. That never happened in the last December. So when you look at the issues of they are tying it to the presidential election, bro, let me tell you.
So that would count, in numbers for the presidential election?
Listen, the governor has constantly repeated that the kind of support they are getting from the president is why I'm doing these roads, it's why I'm building these schools, it's why I'm doing this flyover bridge, it's why I'm building new tear, it's why I'm able to buy vehicles for
security. That's a strategy.
So you cannot disconnect the current development in Edo without talking about Swaju.
All right, Greg, you have a reaction on that?
Yes, the reaction I have. First of all, I wouldn't say I'm offended, but I want to say about Prof. For somebody who has been chairman of the ASU, this thing in the university, for you to say he doesn't understand politics, I just want to ask you one simple question. Why is it that INEC is always contracting or soliciting the services of professors and lecturers if they do not understand politics? So, and let me say this, if we are going to campaign for the president or the governor, we do not need to destroy what other people have done. Obaseki did a lot. Oshomole did a lot. Obomdia did a lot. Ali did a lot. All we can say is that these people have done a lot, but we have somebody who can build on what they have done. That is the best way to campaign for.
Okay, are you by this adapting the fact that what the governor has done so far?
No.
To say in favor of his goal that he has to make it count for the presidency come 2027.
Wait, I agree that he has done a lot.
Okay,
no doubt about that. But don't forget that Tebuga Road didn't start with Okpewo. Obaseki was already on it, and many other road projects. We can't deny these things. But
government is a continuum, don't forget.
Yeah, all we can say is that government is continuity. We pray for Okpewo that he will take it further.
All right.
And he will take it better. And that is all. But to deny what other governments have done is not fair. It doesn't work.
All right, it's Politics Today. We'll take a short break, and after which we'll be going to the University Dawn. Don't forget also we will be allowing you to participate, listeners on independent radio and of course viewers on independent television. We'll take a short break, after which we'll do that. Do stay.
Some days, there comes the Uge Mobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Mobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
'27 battle for the presidency, competence or political machinery, what will play out. That's what we're tackling today on Politics Today. And don't forget the numbers to call in on the show is 0807 777 0300. 0807 777 0300. Participate on the show as we expect you to pour your calls at us. Well, while we wait for your calls, let's quickly join you. Basically, you want to react to what
obviously.
Move ahead on.
I wanted to tell you people not to crucify our co-discussant here for what he said, because he might be correct when he said, I don't understand the rudiments of politics. That, you know, the way politics is played in Nigeria may be different from the book politics. For instance, I don't know how to
understand the book politics.
I don't know how to carry guns. I don't know how to carry ballot box. I don't know how to buy votes, because the best politicians we have in this country now were groomed from the university. People who are representing INEC, people who are doing great in different offices of leadership and of administration and all that, were groomed in the university. And of course, yours sincerely is coming from a microcosm of the macrocosm Nigeria, where I have at the highest echelon of leadership have played. And so when you look at that, what you might be saying is that the rudiment, what you have as politics in Nigeria is very different from the way we are seeing it here. And that is, to a great extent, very, very correct and all that. Where in a country now where you are seeing that only snares are laid, bombs are laid for other people, you can't come up and all that. We are gravitating, let me tell you, I've been trying to keep this, we are gravitating, to an emperor kind of country. That is where we are going to. That even in 2032, you will be surprised that you have a stay back. That's how African leaders, that's how they behave. All of us should be ready. We must understand all of this. And that is what is happening. Now, at this stage now, remember, if you saw a clip on the social media where the president was saying, when in 2023 I was like this, and I was able to win the election, is it now that he did like this to gesticulate and all that? And so what is the meaning of that? So gradually.
He said a lot in that.
A lot.
Okay,
and so
I'll come back to you. Let's quickly take this call. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from and kickstart your contributions.
Good morning, sir. I'm calling from Nigeria, Ghana to be precise, a married to Comrade SOS.
Take it easy, please. What's your name?
A married to Comrade SOS from Nigeria, Ghana.
Go ahead.
Now, I want to thank your guest here, and the 2027 election is an election to be watched out for. Let's start with Edo State. You see, the governor has tried. He has done so much. Agreed. But he cannot get it the way it was during his last election. Because he has done so much. If ever he's going to get 2.5 million votes, he has to work on the electoral. A hungry man is a hungry man. The civil servants are still receiving 70,000. The pensioners are complaining. The market people, they do not sell. How do you expect me as a pensioner I carry out of my 10,000 or 15,000 naira pay? I enter very food. Petrol is very costly. Or I kick my car and say I'm going to the police station. There's no even food this morning for me to go and stay on the queue to vote. So he may not get it right. And coupled with other problems that may be associated with the election, it will be very low key unless the governor fix tight.
Thank you, Comrade Emeritus.
Only then he can get 2,000 votes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Emeritus. Well,
I've not addressed that matter.
Yes.
Yeah, let me tell you, if what my colleague said here is 2.9 million voters, registered voters, and then we've never gotten up to about 50% at any of our elections, which makes you divide 2.9 by 2. So you are coming down to about 1.45. If 50% of those registered voters comes out to vote.
But you already said magic can happen.
I'm doing calculation now. I'm coming, sir. So if you look at that statistics, 2.5 million is unrealizable if you look at that. But then governor is my brother. He must be talking from a position of strength.
Yes.
And all that. Very clearly, you see the extent of work that he's bringing to bear. The only thing we're advising that he must do now is to have a good spread. And he will get good followership because we are not getting the spread. If somebody was arguing the other day that Edo South is suffering of infrastructure and all of that, I say it's not even Edo South that is. It is Esan South.
Okay.
You understand? Because if you look at it, it's concentrating in the Esan North and all that. The other person in the other communities in the south are in squalor. Nothing.
The government is a
yes, not south. You have Igwebe and all this. They are suffering. There's no nothing is going on there.
Okay. let's see how that happens, because what you just said now is if that spread comes up, it's possible to have the number.
Not the number is if you have 50%, understand my statistics, if you have 50% of voters coming out, if registered number of voters is 2.9, then you are going to have a maximum of 1.45 million persons coming to vote. Then how are you going to get 2.5?
Well, let's see how that works. Let's quickly take a call. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, my brothers.
Good morning.
My name is Solomon Asaga. Those advocating for the president are also aware that fuel subsidy is gone. Have brought a lot of anger to Nigeria's mind. That even those that were genuinely voting for the president 2023 will not vote for him again. They should also be aware of that. Then two, are also aware that if there is accountability and transparency, we can also sell petrol at the rate of 500 and have a much of flyover road being done. Are they aware of that? Are they also aware that floating air fleet for 4.something billion will take 6 months?
Well, thank you.
That.
The network is bad.
Well, thank you so much, Solomon Ataga, for that contribution. Well, we expect another caller to also make a difference in that direction. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, tell us your name and location and make your contribution.
I'm your Godfrey. I'm calling from Riboribo village in Wode local government area.
Go ahead.
I don't know. This man, Honorable Chosa, anytime you invite him, I'm not always happy. His argument is so partial. I'm recommending that you go and meet Honorable Gentleman Ameko, who though is an APC member. Whenever you invite him, his argument is very objective.
Okay, I want you to address the issue on the ground. Address the topic rather than persons, please.
Okay, the issue on ground, the 2.5 million votes, I want to say that the government say want to achieve. The only strategy to achieve it, I think two methods that you can achieve it. One is to buy the voters, because the hunger in the land now, I don't think any single individual will go and vote the government in power without being bought. That is one. Secondly, they may just prevent people who want to vote for all that candidates of other political parties. They may prevent them from voting.
Thank you for your contribution. I think you've articulated a point. Well, let's give you time, like 1 minute each to round off on that. You heard what he said concerning that if I thought that wants to happen, maybe it's going to be through the back door.
I hope he's not angry, because you don't expect him calling from Honda to reason on the same level that I'm reasoning. Okay. I grew up in a different climate and I have my own best idea on issues. Yeah. With all due respect, Professor here is the beneficiary of the Asiwaju's policies. Whether it has gone across board or not, he has not gone for strike for a very long time now, because the president has settled a lot of things to do with them. I'm also happy with the caller saying that...
Though they may be planning another strike.
Let me tell you. I'm also happy with the fact that the caller says, and like Professor said, if the governor has to achieve the 2.5 million votes, I made the mention, I said more registered voters may be made. I'm not saying that there will be 2.5 million votes. I'm not saying that. I'm not, because
okay, that means you don't believe that?
Hold on a minute. No, I believe it. The people
so if you believe it, you say
it. When somebody's speaking and they're on their feet, you don't observe their thought process. You let me land. You give me a minute. Let me land. I said, everybody that has called, even the last caller said, it is possible for him to achieve it if he does X, Y, Z, positively or negatively. He says, if the governor expands the scope of project and implementation, he may have more followers. More followers means more votes.
About 1.45.
At the end of the day, I said it's 2.9 million. Maybe many people may have died as well, but there will be more registration if the governor plays his cards well. Okay. And if the machinery is on ground and the positivity from what the presidency has done with the state and areas where there will be projects that has been done and areas where you appeal to people to wait. If these people will get now, your turn may come. It may be 1 million votes. It may be 800,000.
But don't forget, a caller said no matter how that happens, that those who are hungry, those who have been impoverished, and of course the fuel subsidy removal, the challenges it brought could make it impossible. Are you neglecting that? Are you dodging away from that?
Subsidy removal, there's always been problem with fuel systems in this country.
All right.
There's always been shortage of fuel and things like that. I'm not saying that it is easy on anybody.
Okay, thank you.
But people also need to learn to cut their ways of life.
Okay, thank you.
The plumber will go to the place.
Let's quickly join. Let's quickly join Greg Yayi for 30 seconds to round off.
What I just want to say is that we should tell the government the truth. The people listening to us, some of them have spoken back to us.
Let's take their guy. Don't even say that.
No, let us
take. Be a PDP guy, or NDC or Labour Party guy.
There is no party.
See,
my brother,
who they are, they are
but the two of you are
Nigerians.
tilted towards Obi now.
Okay, has the floor. Greg Yayi has the floor. Greg Yayi has the floor.
I'm registered in your political in my village.
Okay, good.
Please,
So what is
one vote already.
what I want to say, let us tell the government the truth. And let us tell them that there is hunger. Even if you build roads and you deprive me of the ability to buy fuel to ride a car on it, you haven't done me any good.
All right, thank you.
So let's tell the government the truth.
Thank you.
They are trying, but they should improve.
Okay.
50 seconds for you, Julius. Yes.
my
Julius.
advice is that when you are in the jungle, you fight for yourself. I'm advising my brother, Governor Okpeolu, to fight for himself to return back, not for the president of the country. It's good that he's trying to do that, but first of all, secure your own position of advance before you can look across board.
Okay, thank you.
In addition, I'm asking, like I said, let him spread his projects.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Julius Iyasele. Big thanks, Greg Yayi, and of course, big thanks to you, Honorable